Welcome, I'm Krista Gibson with NewSpiritJournal.com, and this is our video show, Keeping It Real, where we help to make spirituality practical. Today, this is number 4 in our 8-part series with EagleSong Gardener, where we're learning about herbs. And EagleSong has been teaching and giving classes and doing research in herbs for over 40 years. So this is really quite a treat for all of us. So today, we're going to be talking about an herb called Oatstraw, which, as I said last week with Comfrey, I don't know about Oatstraw. So this is really a lot of fun to learn about some things that I personally don't know about. And I hope that you're getting a lot out of it too. So let's head on back over to EagleSong's place and let's learn about Oatstraw. Hello again, EagleSong. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great, Krista. It's a beautiful day, a little overcast here today,
Yeah.
and the temperature is warming up. A full moon day today, so
Nice.
I'm excited. Just really a great time to play outside.
Absolutely. And we're going to be learning about another herb I know nothing about. I'm loving this, which is Oatstraw. So I'm eager to learn. Tell us about Oatstraw.
So Oatstraw, well, last week, of course, comfrey was my favorite herb. Today, of course, Oatstraw will be my favorite herb.
Okay.
So, Oatstraw, Avena sativa. I mean, how can you not love a name like that?
Right.
Avena sativa. Sativa means edible.
Mm-hmm.
And Avena, of course, comes from the goddess Avena, who loved to grow things beautiful. And so, Avena sativa is our beautiful oat straw. And again, an herb that has just amazing amount of uses. So, what am I going to say about it to start with? Well, let's meet the herb again. Actually, we'll meet her over here. This one is the same grain that they make oatmeal from.
Okay.
So eating oats is really great for all the same benefits that you would get from using the oat straw, you can get from oatmeal.
Oh, okay.
So go to oatmeal cookies. We eat oatmeal probably 5 out of 7 days of the week. Mm-hmm. And then we have our treats like French toast and pancakes and things like that we like to make. So the oat grain comes out of these tops. And I don't know how many people are used to seeing grain tops, but I think grain is a beautiful, beautiful plant. All the different grains. They're all grasses. They live in the grasses. And so the oat straw that we're using today in our nourishing herbal infusion, again, we've got our 1 quart of water, 1 ounce of herb, steeping with boiling water, steeping it for 4 to 8 hours.
Okay.
And so this one is sweet. It has it's the best one to start with. If you're going to start this herbal infusion practice, starting with oat straw is a good place to start because it's easy. And in a lot of ways, oat straw makes life easy and sweet. You know, sweet is the taste that tells us that this is nourishment, except that sweet has been sort of the nourishment part of sweet has been extracted in the sweet that we eat a lot in our world today.
Right.
When we have whole sweet, like we get from the oat straw, then the body feels nourished and fed. When you feel nourished and fed, there's just a sense of calmness that comes to you.
That's true.
You're not angst for something.
Right.
And so the oats are really good for nourishing the nervous system. It's considered a nervine in the herbal world. I'm reaching my little notes here. The nervines are plants that actually build, strengthen, and tonify the nervous system. A lot of people are really focusing on stress and relieving stress, and my thinking is, hey, you know what? Stress is a part of life. It always has.
That's right.
So why don't we do it from a different angle? Let's make the nervous system strong as we can so that stress is no longer that irritating feeling that tears us apart.
Right. Not negative. Right.
Well, I wouldn't even call it negative. It's just if you're not nourished, your body wants something. And
That's
that's
true.
anxiety. And so when you actually use this rotation of these herbal infusions, that's why we call this herbs for health, is that you give yourself a beautiful array of nutrients and minerals that actually build the organism the way it needs to be built. It's a living, vital thing, and that's why we get to keep eating, because we have to keep continuing.
That's right.
And it's self-healing. We don't really need to focus so much on healing as I think a lot of people like to. If we focus on nourishment, it's, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Exactly. That's right.
And so back to minerals. Now, the mineral that is really rich in this Oatstraw infusion is calcium. And people say, oh, you can't get enough nutrients out of eating plants like this. And it's like, well, where have you been on some other plant? That's all people have ever eaten until the last 75 years. And they did quite fine, And so cheers to Oatstraw. I used to own draft horses. My partner was really into logging with draft horses. So we had draft horses to take care of. And what people don't know is that the main food that's given to a draft horse is oats and oat hay. And if there is a bigger animal that only is eating oats and oat hay to build than a draft horse, I don't know what it is. And calm temperament.
Yes.
And they're boned. So here we get nerving, tonic for the nervous system, builds, not just tonify, it builds the sheath of the nerves so that they actually work better. And we get strong bones. Those draft horses have strong bones. We get equanimity, a keen, even keel that's deep. It's the thing. So, but calcium is also one of the main minerals in the earth that allows nutrients to transfer. It's the great communicator underground in the ionic. There's a cation exchange that's actually electrical exchange that goes on in the earth between molecules, and electrons are dancing around. Everything's a great dance. I love it. So the electrons, the calcium actually helps those electrons to move around in the soil. You have to have good calcium content in your soil if you're growing fruits and vegetables, so that the electrons can do their work. It's the cation exchange. If anyone wants to look that up, it really informs us about how that herb works in our bodies, because we're having the same kind of molecular exchanges in the electrons going on in our bodies all the time. The other thing I like to think about, and I've never heard anyone say this, but that all these minerals are crystalline in form. And right now there's a lot of talk about sound healing and resonance and vibration. And, if anybody, I don't know if folks do it now, but when I was a kid, we used to build little radios and you put the crystal in and then you could catch the signal.
Right, yes.
Calcium is what does that in our body. So when we use the herbs that are rich in protein and minerals, we actually, I like to think of it, we're tuning up the crystalline nature of our body so we can actually receive. We become receivers of universal, she's downloading all the time.
Right. Yeah, the information's there. Right.
Exactly. And so when we get our receiver built well, we actually can start getting all kinds of messages that we wouldn't get otherwise, because we don't have the receiver tune dialed in exactly. And I'm dialing into nature. I believe that my best ally in the world is learning how nature works and then working in a cooperative way with her.
I agree. That's right.
So this is a very physical way of doing that. We really tune up the, if you will, vehicle or receiver. And then the joy of life is that we get to give out.
Right.
We get all that nutrient in, we get our receiver in line with nature's purpose, and then it's just about singing her praises.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Well, that's off the wall, but
I like
it's
it. That's nice.
you do it.
It's beautiful. I love the color of this, the oat straw. It's beautiful.
Gorgeous. I do.
Yes.
And I like to
Golden.
drink my infusions in clear
Yes.
cups so that I actually have the beauty of the color of what's
Mm-hmm.
happening. I mean,
Right.
the comfrey was dark green, and this one
Mm-hmm.
is so golden. And so
Yeah.
you start to see, oh, and then hibiscus. Oh, we could go on for years with this because there's so many herbs, and they all have different benefits.
Sure.
And the color is an important part of the message.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yes.
So I just wanted to tell you last week or way back, I talked about Juliet de Berkeley Levy
Yes.
being
Mm-hmm.
one of my first herb teachers. And the other person who's really influenced me is Susan Weed. And
Yes. Uh-huh.
this is my actually beat up, beautiful 1991 copy.
Wow.
And signed by Susan. We've been friends for a long time.
Wow.
And, the paper's falling out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I
This
love.
is go-to. And if you want to learn about the infusions and also about nature,
Mm-hmm.
this Healing Wise book is the big green book for everybody. So men, women, everybody. If you're interested in herbs,
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend that as a great resource to really get a handle on what are these plants really good for,
Mm-hmm.
and how can we break our brain out of looking always for what's wrong with things.
Yes.
How do we turn our brain around to see what's right with things?
Mm-hmm.
And what I found with the nourishing herbal infusions, it gets easier and easier. Like I say, I think my receiver's working better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And if your receiver's working better, you're going to pick up on more of the positivity and, like you say, the things that work rather than what's wrong with everything.
I'll go along with negative and positive, but only in the way of molecules,
Uh-huh.
that there's attracting and repelling, and that when we get the molecular dance really so
Mm-hmm.
that it's fluid,
Mm-hmm.
we move back into a fluid state, then we actually have this, what I call dynamic disequilibrium. I'm not very big on balance. It's very exhausting. But dynamic disequilibrium is actually a very fancy way to say dancing.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
Dynamic means it's moving,
Right.
it's action, and dis means not equilibrium.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's trying to balance, but I'm saying, no, we want to learn to fall better.
Uh-huh.
We want to actually engage in the beauty of life and dance with the flow of energy. And it's true, if your core is set, you can do like a gyroscope. That
Mm-hmm.
part doesn't go off, but you can keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
And so dynamic disequilibrium is a pet phrase.
There you go. I like it. I like it.
So make you engage the energy.
Uh-huh.
And right at the moment, we need a lot of oat straw in our daily living.
Yes.
And we need a lot of capacity. It's my other favorite word for this year, capacity to deal with things that are coming at us a lot, and like tai chi,
Right.
like just
Yes.
go. You don't have to struggle with them, just let them go.
Right. Right.
And keep going to what you really believe in and what you really love,
Mm-hmm.
and have your herbal allies with you,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can actually see it as a dance,
Right.
actually participate and not try to hide or run away.
Right.
So hiding and running away are really excellent strategies under certain circumstances. So I would never want to deprive anyone of those. And also learning the difference between fear and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Fear is what we need to have so we can discern, but we have to have the capacity to discern.
Mm-hmm.
Should I
Right.
really be afraid? And there's a clear, specific thing that makes you afraid.
Mm-hmm.
If a tiger pops up in your face, you're going to be afraid,
Right.
like it or not.
Right. Yeah.
And you're going to do something.
Right.
But if you're thinking about the tiger popping up all the time, then you're anxious.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That is one of the things that oat straw can really help soothe the anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Like people jump all the time with a big sound.
Mm-hmm.
I notice that when I'm really on my my oat straw, things happen and I don't have that reaction. I'm not reacting. I'm just more settled in my core.
Right.
And my nervous system's attentive. It knows things are happening around me, but it can discern quickly whether that's something I should run, hide, or actually be able to deal with.
Stand, whatever.
Yeah.
So are there other uses for oat straw? Is it pretty much the drinking it?
I think of it mostly as a nutritive. People do make tincture out of the green oats, the milky oats they call it. But I like to use the whole stalk and the flowering top when the grain is just to the point where the milk, if you squeeze the grain, juicy milk comes out. So it's not totally cured or ripe. It's just on the way to be in there. And then that can be cut into pieces and made into a tincture.
Okay.
But because this herb's real gift is nourishment, add oatmeal to your life more, make oatmeal cookies, do the oat infusion, because I think you get a really good dose on a regular pulse if you're doing the rotations.
Right.
And you know, not any one thing is you can't just put your finger on it and say, oh yeah, that works so good. Big truck going by.
Yeah.
You just start feeling better over time. And then one day you just go, wow, you know, I feel pretty good.
Right.
That to me is a sign of a really interesting way of healing, because you're really working at the deepest level of health building.
Right.
So then no matter what comes at you, and if you do this with the easy herbs on a regular basis, if difficult things come in your life, you know, there's no way we can avoid getting cancer or coronavirus or whatever's out there. But if we build our organism to be as vital, what we call host defense, that we are the host, and we are building our defenses so that it's hard for an invader to get in.
Right.
And all of these things do that. And so I think this day, bringing oat straw into your life any way you can, bringing oatmeal into your life. We actually have oatmeal cooked with nettle seeds and seaweed. That's become our absolute favorite. Nettle seeds are, since we did nettle last week.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. Right, yeah.
But seed is an adrenal restorative. So for people who actually have lived a life where they've drained all their chi energy is drained, the adrenal restoratives are really good. And oat straw is also an adrenal restorative.
Good to know.
It's an excellent herb for if you're undoing addictive behaviors. That oat straw is a really great ally, because she nourishes you deeply and with that sweetness of a mother, or, you know, that real honest sweet. It's whatever you reach for to make your life seem like it's okay. It's not so compelling when you have the oat straw to actually support you as you're transitioning away from like the dopamine kind of like coffee, where you've got to have that.
Right.
You feel great as long as you keep getting it.
Right.
Nourishing herbal infusions, you feel great anyway.
Right. That's good.
And then if you decide you're going to have a cup of coffee, it's not going to compel you to do it again as soon as the dose runs out.
Right.
So I think that's important, like dose, how long, how often, how frequent. That's what determines if over time, whatever the frequency you're using something. Coffee's a great thing to use as an example, because a lot of people can relate to it. But if you have a cup of coffee in the morning and that becomes your pattern, eventually you're having one mid-morning, and then you might have another one mid-afternoon. That's a dopamine response. You have to dosing your
more
same effect.
Right.
Now, if it continues on for years, you become pretty much ingrained into the pattern of the herb demanding you to take care of it. With the herbal infusions, there's none of that compelling demand.
Right.
And you're rotating through, so you're not just getting stuck on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Right.
thing of coffee and tea is people actually start gravitating to that being the only beverage that they drink. And really, I don't think it's the caffeine that's so bad for people. It's that they're so astringent
Mm-hmm.
that pull moisture out of the body. They dehydrate you from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
these herbs we're talking about, they juicy you up.
Yeah, they hydrate. Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I see life with flexibility and gooey stuff.
Uh-huh.
That's sweetness in life.
That's right.
That that liquidy motion, your joints are good and
Yeah.
moving good. It's like that's what you want. As you dry out, then you become just like an old piece of leather.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Oatstraw
Awesome.
good in tincture. You can do tincture, not oil. I don't ever see anyone make vinegar out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really about eating, drinking it.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the best ways. So with all of our simple ways of bringing the herbs into our body through different menstruums,
Mm-hmm.
this one really does the best with water.
That's great to know. Well, I've really enjoyed learning about Oatstraw. And again, I want to say to people that if they want to know more, go to your website, which is EagleSong-Gardener.com. And I have it there on the screen. And yeah, thank you. So I've learned a lot today. Learned a lot about Oatstraw.
I totally love Oatstraw. So I look forward to having everyone come over and visit us at the website.
Great.
Lots going on there right now.
Awesome. Wonderful to know. Okay, wonderful spending time with you, and I'll see you again next week.
All right.
Thank
See ya.
you. Bye.
Bye.